Hi, this is Shapiro with the DrVax channel. And today we're going to cover a question that has come up in both the YouTube comments and on the DrVax forum about FreeCAD. And the question is, why doesn't my version of FreeCAD look like your version of FreeCAD? And it all comes down to setup, more importantly than the actual version of FreeCAD you're using. So stay tuned and let's learn something together. First, as a bit of background, let me explain where some of these questions are coming from. The DrVax community is growing. It now consists of a website, a Facebook page, and a discussion group or forum. That's a place you can go from any browser on your phone or on your computer, on your desktop, on your tablet, where you can post questions, post pictures, and communicate with other users who have often watched DrVax videos to exchange information. It's a place where we truly can all learn from each other. Well, a reader of the DrVax forum recently posted the question, why doesn't my version of FreeCAD look like the version DrVax is using in his videos? And I really can't follow the videos because it looks completely different. I'm going to teach you today how to solve that problem. Now, I'm basically a Mac guy. There's a Mac behind me. You can't see it, but there's a MacBook Pro right in front of me. But for this video, I wanted to make sure I covered the topic for both Mac and Windows users. Now, if you're a Linux user, you're probably a pretty sophisticated technologist anyways, and you'll figure it out on your own. So, in spite of the fact that I am a Mac person, I own one Windows machine, or at least I own one Windows machine that I still use, and that's a Surface Go. I love this machine. Now, prior to owning a Surface Go, I used an iPad when I was away from the office, when I was traveling. I wanted to travel lightly, but I always ran into these problems where there was one program or another I couldn't run on my iPad. Most recently, over the last couple of years for this YouTube channel, there are a number of plugins for Chrome that I use pretty much every day. And an iPad doesn't support plugins in Chrome, but a Surface Go does. So a Surface Go is just a Windows 10 machine. It's a really low-end, relatively slow machine, but it has the unique ability to come apart and then you can use it as a tablet. Now, I'll be honest, an iPad, whoops, I just woke up because it saw me. An iPad is a better tablet, but this Windows Surface Go machine is the perfect combination of features for me. I can use it as a tablet to read books, to check the news, check websites, play a couple games here and there, but I also can run FreeCAD or other standard software on it in much the same way I would a desktop. So I've tested the techniques I'm going to talk to you about on both my Windows 10 Surface Go and multiple Mac computers. The first thing we have to think about is what version of FreeCAD should you install? So let's go to the screen for a minute. Here we're on the freecadweb.org website. This is the main website you'll go to if you just search for FreeCAD. And if you click on download here, you'll see options to install on Windows, Mac, or Linux. If you click on any of those options, you're going to get the latest variant of the 0.18 version of FreeCAD. Now, you'll notice that FreeCAD is still using fractional version numbers. The community does not consider it to be at version 1.0 yet. That'll come in the future. I don't use the 0.18 version. The 0.18 version works well, but does have some bugs that bothered me. And I found the 0.19 version to be as reliable or more reliable as the 0.18 version. But there's one caveat. The 0.19 version is harder to install on Windows than the 0.18 version. On a Mac, the installation is very similar. In both cases, you download the version and you end up with a FreeCAD.app file that you drag to your application folder and you're all done. On Windows, though, if you download the version from this page, you get a true Windows installer and installs easily, smoothly. If you download the version I'm going to show you, the 0.19 version, you actually get a zip file, a compressed file when you uncompress it, and the software is included to automatically uncompress it. You then have to drag that folder somewhere on your computer and probably create a shortcut to the FreeCAD.exe file. A little more complicated, so I'm going to show you a little bit about that. So first, let's find where you locate 0.19. Well, FreeCAD is an open source project that's hosted on GitHub. So if you go to GitHub, and I'll put this in the description underneath, and you go to the FreeCAD subdirectory, FreeCAD/releases, because in the FreeCAD subdirectory, there are things besides the program. There are samples, there are examples, there's documentation. So FreeCAD/FreeCAD/releases, and the tag I'm using is 0.19 pre. And once again, I'll put this link in the description below. This is the latest version that is about to come out. And no, I don't know exactly when it's going to be released. For all I know, it'll be released as production once this video comes out. But once it comes out, you'll be able to use the link on the main page and it will install easily. For right now, you have to scroll down the page and you'll see there are all these different versions. Well, for a Mac user, you want this version right here, which is the Mac 64-bit -coda.dmg. Now, what's the coda stuff? Well, coda is just a way to bundle up programs and libraries and all the things you need to run a program, and they're using that technology at FreeCAD. So if you download this DMG file and then double click on the DMG file, you'll get an icon in a folder that says FreeCAD.app, an application. Let's show you an example of that. So I'm going to go now to my download folder, and you'll notice this version of FreeCAD here. When I double click on it, the Mac operating system will mount it as a directory, as a folder, and then I have FreeCAD.app. I just need to drag this to my applications folder. So I'm going to open up my applications folder here. And if I take and I drag this over to my applications folder, that is all I need to do to install it. Then I run it from my applications folder and I'm ready to go. Now I've already done that on this machine, so I don't need to do it again. Now, let's take a look at what we would have to do on a Windows machine. This Coda compiled version is listed down here. You'll see it's a 64-bit version. And you have to download this to your Windows machine and then double click on it. I'll show you some pictures here along the way. When you double click on it, it will open up in a zip unzipping program, a program that will allow you to pull the application out of this compressed file, this .7z compressed file. Now, you may get an advertisement giving you an option to buy the uncompressed program. You can just cancel and skip through that. You'll then need to take and drag the folder, the uncompressed folder, somewhere on your computer. In my case, I dragged it initially just to the desktop. Then you have to go into that folder and look for FreeCAD.exe. Now, you could run that directly, but I like to have a shortcut on my desktop to make it easier. So what I did is I created a shortcut and then drag the shortcut to my desktop. And then I click on that shortcut in order to run the program. I will note that the first time you run this version on Windows, it takes a really long time, at least on my very, very slow Surface Go. It took like a whole minute. Now, when you're sitting and staring at a computer, 60 seconds is a long time. So it seemed like it took a very long time to start up the first time. After that, it started up much more quickly. Okay, now we have FreeCAD installed on our Mac or installed on our Windows machine. How do we make it look like the version I was using? I'll show you how. So I'm going to start FreeCAD on my desktop, and I've purposely started it in a configuration where pretty much everything is closed. A very basic configuration. Now, depending on the build, the startup, the initial configuration will be different. That doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to get to the same place I was at. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to View, click on Toolbars, and click on Workbench. That will add a toolbar on the top. And if we go and we look there, we can see we can specify whatever workbench we want. Now, anytime you have the workbench option displayed here, you can right-click in this area up here on the top and turn things on. Well, I'm going to turn on the View toolbar. Then I'm going to right-click here. I'm going to turn on the File toolbar. And now it's starting to look more like the version I was using. Let's do a couple other things. I'm going to right-click here, and I'm going to turn on the Report view. That gives me the area on the bottom where I'll see various messages about things I'm doing in FreeCAD. Now I'm going to right-click here and click on Combo View. And that will put the combo view on the left side. So now this looks very similar to what I was using in my tutorials, with one major difference. Because I'm on a workbench, the Start workbench. And remember, a workbench is a collection of tools for a style of computer-aided design or manufacturing. Let's go to the Part Design workbench, which is the workbench I use in my tutorials. And now you'll see all the other icons show up here on the top. They're grayed out because I haven't created a document yet. But before I do that, I want to show you one other thing. You'll notice that between these various icons in various places, there are fine dotted lines or coarse dotted lines. Anywhere there's a coarse dotted line, you can drag that toolbar around. I could put it on the side. I could put it down here. You cannot drag around the fine dotted lines. So I'm going to put this back up here for now. And now I'm going to go to File, New. I'm going to create a body. And this is covered in much more detail in the 3-part tutorial. I'm going to create a sketch. And now you'll see the toolbars that you'll see in the majority of my videos. The only difference may be that this toolbar here might be in a different place because, see, we can drag these individual toolbars around here, so they might look just a little bit different than the one you're seeing in my tutorial. But by dragging these toolbars around, by right-clicking in this area and turning on the Report section and the Combo View, you can make your version of FreeCAD look like the versions in my tutorials. Now, let me show you one more thing. If I click on this little icon here, that's in the bar of one of my views, it will make it a separate window. So right now, you'll see Report View is a separate window. If I double click on that bar, it will move it back to be embedded in a combined window. So as an example here, I can make that a separate window. I can move around, move to a different monitor. I can double click on this bar to move it back. Well, folks, I hope this was helpful. If you were having trouble with the 3-part series, this might be a good starting place. You can set up FreeCAD the way I have, and then go ahead and take the 3-part tutorials. Hope this was helpful. Thanks. Keep asking questions at forum.drvax.com. If this was helpful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, participate in the forum, and let's continue to learn things together.